It appears that the International Coalition of Sweet Business Users showed up in force this week. After losing out to Symmetry in the voting for the previous 5 games video, its number did get pulled again, and with 37% of the vote, it got the nod. So as always, we'll do a quick overview of the weapon, take a look at its damage profile in PvP, and then head into the Crucible for 5 matches so you can see how the weapon performs in the hands of a pretty average PvP player. So without further ado, let's get into it. Sweet Business is an exotic kinetic auto rifle, which at base fires at 360 rounds per minute, has 150 rounds in the magazine, and 4 different ornaments to choose from. I have been told that the business end wipes out the weapon's very prevalent muzzle flash, so I'm going to be rolling with that one. The weapon stats are not the prettiest thing. We do have strong aim assist, good airborne effectiveness, and a maxed out recoil direction at 100, but the range is on the lower side, the handling is pretty horrendous, and we got the big goose egg for reload speed. The intrinsic trait for Sweet Business is Payday. The short of it is, big mag, good hipfire, auto reload when collecting an ammo brick. The exotic perk on this weapon is Business Time. Holding down the trigger will increase the weapon's range and rate of fire. And once the exotic catalyst is unlocked and applied, the amount of flinch that you'll receive from incoming damage will be reduced when the weapon is at its max fire rate. Functionally, as stated earlier, the weapon starts out firing at 360 rounds per minute. When laying on the trigger, that's going to gradually ramp up to 900 RPM over the course of 12 rounds. And a change that was made to this weapon about a year ago that was not mentioned in the description: when fully spun up, every 8th round expended will have an explosive payload tied to it. For the weapon's reload speed, at base we are looking at a terribly slow 3.66 seconds, and with the low marks and handling, swapping onto or off of this weapon is not exactly a quick process either. For the weapon's range, I'm going to give you both aiming down sights and hipfire since it is an integral part of this weapon. The standard damage fall-off occurs right around 16.5 meters when shooting from the hip, and we're looking at about 27 meters when ADS. But when the weapon is at its max fire rate, we do get a small bump to the physical range. So when fully spun up and firing from the hip, the fall-off is going to occur past the 20 meter mark. So that buys us about another 3.5 meters. When the weapon's pulled up and shooting at its max fire rate, we're going to hit for full damage from up to 33 meters away, letting the weapon stretch out an additional 6 meters. Now for the muzzle flash, is that business end ornament really doing that much to tone it down? We'll have a look at a side-by-side comparison, base skin on the left, ornament on the right. And it absolutely is. That business end ornament almost completely eliminates it. That's pretty nice. For the weapon's damage profile, crits are showing for 25, body shots 16, with the blast damage coming in around 21. And I got you 2 sets of numbers for the time to kills, and they should be close. On a cold start, those time to kills are pretty slow. 1.23 for an optimal, 1.63 or 1.69 for a body shot, not great. When fully spun though, the bullet damage doesn't change, but the time to kill sees a significant drop thanks to the increased fire rate and the blast damage coming into play. Now, there may be a very slight delay on the blast because when I frame timed it, it didn't seem to factor into the bullet requirements to hit that 0.59 optimal time to kill. But when looking at body shots, given the fact it has a little more time to register, 14 shots with 1 hit of the blast was downing targets at any resilience tier in 0.85 seconds. On top of that, when the weapon is fully spun, this does give you a really good chance against supers. As long as you're somewhat accurate, you should be able to drop roamers in about 1.5 seconds. In Versus OL, here again, if you're able to at least put some of those shots on the head, you can absolutely knock a Guardian out of it. And then the explosive rounds, while they may only have a marginal effect on the kill speeds in specific cases, they do have some nice bonus utility. Their damage will definitely come into play in-game when you're not just standing there dumping your rounds into a stationary target. I would assume they are applying a little bit more flinch than a standard round fired. In the blast, while not extremely large, it can catch enemies around corners, which can help in zeroing in on an enemy's location, or in some cases maybe secure a kill on an enemy who just broke line of sight with a sliver of health. Getting into the matches though, I am going to be heading in on Dawnblade with Rain of Fire being my exotic armor piece of choice. Since special ammo bricks aren't dropping anymore in PvP, Sweet Business loses its access to the auto reload on brick pickup. And I'll be damned if I'm reloading this thing manually. For my offhand weapon, I kicked around the idea of bringing in a fusion rifle to maximize Rain of Fire, but I wanted something that I could pull out quickly if I got caught flat-footed, given Sweet Business's low handling. So I went with the old trusty CQC-12 with quick draw and snapshot. Plus, it's been a while since I last pulled it out, so I figured no harm in dusting it off. And as always, the applicable weapon boosting armor mods are applied to try to get Sweet Business a bit more help. First match of the set was on Citadel, and it was not a good start. There was a lot of dying going on my team's end. But even though we did get thumped, there were some flashes of brilliance coming out of Sweet Business, which was encouraging. Match 2 was on Vostok, and I felt like I was playing pretty well in this game. I held a 2.25 efficiency with 18 total defeats, but overall though it was another fairly one-sided game, not in my team's favor. But Sweet Business did show up for a couple good plays, and it was really feeling like it was due for a good match eventually. And that would happen on the next game when we returned to Citadel. I was able to walk out of this game with a 5.2 efficiency rating and 26 defeats, with Sweet Business being a contributing factor on every single one of them. And I was happy I was able to get at least one good game with Sweet Business in here, because after that it was kind of a downward slide. Match 4 on Bannerfall was pretty unremarkable. I only netted 15 defeats, 1.67 efficiency. Things didn't necessarily go bad, but just nothing too exciting out of this game. Last match of the set was on Javelin 4, and here again, I just couldn't get anything going. And admittedly, I was probably a bit over-aggressive here, really reaching to hit those numbers that I did a few matches ago, which resulted in me walking out with a performance that was a bit subpar by my standards. General thoughts on Sweet Business though? When you're rolling with this weapon, it feels really, really good. The kill speeds on this thing give enemy players nearly zero time to react. And with that large magazine size, it does have some big multi-kill potential if you can get the drop on a group of enemies. In win or lose, whether I play good or bad, I always have a lot of fun pulling Sweet Business out. Laying on the trigger and unleashing a torrent of bullets just always puts a smile on my face. But with all its power and killing potential, it does come with a lot of drawbacks. It's just slow. Flat out, it is a slow weapon. It needs time to ramp up to be truly effective, it's cumbersome to swap onto and off of. The reload speed's awful, I couldn't even imagine having to sit through that. If you like agile and responsive weapons, this ain't the one for you. And while it may just seem like a hold the trigger, press forward type weapon, which can work, but is a strategy that I found gets punished by better players. For one, they're gonna hear you coming, and they know what you're bringing. They'll either know not to challenge you, or they'll put themselves in an advantageous position. And even though Sweet Business does have a ton of firepower, a savvy player with good aim can best it. And then I don't think the overarching weapon meta is really trending in a good way for Sweet Business right now. Now, it can hit for full damage from 33 meters away when fully ramped up, which is pretty decent, but it does feel like a lot of bullets do miss from that distance. In my opinion, 20 to 25 meters kind of feels like the sweet spot for this weapon. And the last time I covered it was about a year ago when we were right smack dab in the middle of an SMG meta. Everybody had their immortals out, everyone was fighting tooth and nail to get in for close range engagements. Sweet Business had the range, Sweet Business had the damage. If my timing was good, I was able to punish that playstyle pretty consistently. Right now we're seeing a lot of hand cannons, rangier auto rifles, high impact pulses, and those players, they aren't coming to you. They don't really have to force the action with those type of weapons. You gotta find a way to get to them. And given the less responsive nature of Sweet Business, you gotta be really careful not to get picked apart in the process. So while Sweet Business can be a tough weapon to manage, and maybe right now isn't the best time to be using it, when this gun goes, it really goes. It might not happen every game, and it might just be for a couple plays each match, but getting to experience the unbridled power of Sweet Business when everything lines up, totally worth it in my opinion. Those are just the overarching thoughts of a simple-minded ironworker though. Please remember to leave the video a like if you did enjoy it. If there's a weapon that you'd like to see featured in an upcoming 5 games video, be sure to drop it down in the comments. And with that, have a great day, Guardians, and I'll catch you on the next one.